Winning cures everything. Now for your hosts, Gary and Chris.
Welcome in, Winning Cures Everything. It's Wednesday, February the 17th, and it is Ash Wednesday. I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And Chris, today is when, is it Catholics give up whatever
Yes.
for Lent? Is that what this is?
Yes. To my knowledge, I don't know of any other religion that does it, but growing up Italian Catholic, yes, that Catholics, this is very much a Catholic thing.
I would imagine there's not a lot of Mardi Gras stuff going on this week, right?
No, Mardi Gras is canceled.
It's one for COVID.
Even the Rona didn't shut Mardi Gras down, but the damn weather did.
You better believe that. Michael Fridge jumps up. He said, what's up, fellas? It is nice to see everybody, of course. If you would like to jump into the chat, you can certainly do that. Whatever platform you're on, Twitch, Periscope, Facebook, YouTube, etc. Any of those live platforms, you can jump into the chat. Let's see. Taylor said, my girl Jeannie Bouchard is dating a Steeler if there wasn't enough reasons to dislike them. A lot of people dislike the Steelers regardless of who they're dating and whatnot. That happens. It's okay. It's Steelers news today. We're not even going to talk about this, but sounds like the GM isn't too keen on keeping Big Ben around. So, I mean,
well, I think so. He restructured his deal to take less money, but I think so. This is one thing the NFL is like the Players Association is really good about. They don't like the players being able to sign the team signing a deal and then talking to a guy into less money because they want them to make more money. And so I think the cap hit stays the same. So while you're actually shelling out less money, your cap hit is still $41 million from the Yahoo article that I tried to read today. I didn't understand it, but I'm not a great reader, and I usually have to read things 2 or 3 times to really get it.
Yeah.
But that's what it seemed to me.
That is, I don't understand it. I don't get it.
So if I'm the GM, yes, I would like him to not be my quarterback, but I also don't want to cut him. And I think it's like 24 million dead cap.
Oh yeah. Oh,
so
absolutely.
I mean, it's like half of what it is.
Now, you've got that right. Michael Fritz jumps in. Y'all staying warm out there? Yeah, for the most part. I mean, you know.
Oh, we're just staying inside.
Inside.
That gas bill's going to be high as hell.
Oh, absolutely. McKinnon said, coming at you from work today, boys. One of like 10 dudes in the entire unit not on quarantine this week.
There you go.
I mean, cheers to that. At least you're not on. Michael said, a family in College Station is freezing with no power. Yeah, Texas had some.
Yeah, we have not
issues.
gotten that. I guess like literally the town right next to us in South Haven is dealing with rolling blackouts and power issues. Knock on wood. We have not so far, so I'll take it.
Yes, I will certainly take that. Texas has got major issues. Like 25% of their power comes from turbine blades, blades. Yeah. And like all of them are frozen. So it's only getting like 2% electricity from that. So
yeah, but that's 25%, 75%. There's still a lot of other people out of power.
Yeah,
out of electricity and stuff without the turbine, and it's not good.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It is a disaster down there. So, Matthew Miller jumps in. Up in northern Ohio, we have a foot of snow. Yeah, we've definitely got that. I don't know if you may not be able to see over. Nah, you
it's
can't
still
see
rolling.
But we're here. It's still snowing. It is still snowing, and it's coming down hard right now, man. It is crazy stuff. Brown Yeti said that green power isn't all it's cracked up to be, and it all needs oil as well. Yeah, you need oil to be able to get it to turn. I get it. Brown Yeti is in, by the way. Casey said he would give Ben one more year.
I would not.
I mean, if you're not a fan of the Steelers, of course you would. So.
Well, yeah, I guess as a Browns fan, I really hope that they don't. Well, the problem is unless they draft somebody, they're not going to make a big free agent signing. Anybody on their roster, I'm not afraid of right now at the quarterback position. I'll take any of the 3.
Agreed. Hey, Michael Fritz said it's 61 and sunny in California. Come on out, fellas. Hey, California has to deal with this stuff during the summer. Like, they got to deal with when it gets 100 degrees out there. They got their rolling blackouts and whatnot, too. So
I'm trying to sell a T-shirt printer. Remember, I tried to do that for a while, and I was trying to make our T-shirts. It didn't work out really well. The connection that I had, all the people that I was selling shirts to were all college clubs and groups that have been shut down for a year. So I kind of lost my ass on that deal. So I'm trying to sell it. Had somebody from San Clemente, California, just above San Diego, talking to me about buying it. If they buy it, I got to drive it out to them. Which I'm going to use the word get to drive it out to them. And so, yeah, I'll get to make that day and a half trip back and forth.
Only a day and a half?
Yeah, it's right at 27-hour drive if you can drive it straight.
Yeah, okay. I guess
that's not terrible.
Probably use a couple of days at least. But
2 days to get there, 2 days to get home.
That's not bad. Be a nice little vacay. Get a whole lot of podcasts.
It'd be just a shitload of drive. I don't know how much of that is a vacation. It's just a shitload of drive, and I'll see the world.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. You'll get to listen to a lot of podcasts. Matt Miller said all renewable energy at this point is unreliable. Nuclear is the only stuff that works. Never going to happen. Then Casey jumps back.
That's my guy, Matt. Those new nuclear plants are so efficient and so good. We think of Russia and we think of Japan and we think of all the catastrophes. We have a few nuclear plants here in America that were built in the 50s and 60s that are awful and they don't work very well at all. And everybody says, well, nuke sucks too. No. Just like your television from the 50s and 60s, TV today is pretty damn awesome. Yep. And I'm telling you, those new Gen 7 nuclear plants, if I ever become governor of Mississippi, the first thing I'm doing is taking our pretty ugly, very industrial Gulf Coast, and I'm just putting nothing but nuclear power down there.
That's a smart idea.
Everything east of the Mississippi, I'll sell power to. Everybody. We'll go from the poorest to the richest state in the union.
I always love when you get into these things because we've talked about this before, and that is a fascinating idea.
Yeah, I got to rule with an iron fist though. I can't let the people judge or decide or no, because you've been propagandized too much. Okay, you've all been told too many lies that you believe. So you just got to trust me. In 5 years, 4 years, when I'm done, that this place is a better place than when I left it.
There you go. Michael said, let him know when you're out there, he's going to buy you some beers.
Well, if I make it, I hope these folks, they started a conversation with me and then it's ended and I hadn't heard anything back in a day or two, but you're talking about a couple $1,000s worth of equipment that we're talking. So I don't know if they're going to do it or not.
Matt Miller said, if you don't cut corners and update nuclear, that would be best. But, people don't trust it. Russia cut corners at every point. Yeah, if you ever watch, did you watch
if you let the government
Chernobyl?
Do it, they're definitely going to cut corners.
Yeah, for sure. Michael said,
double.
Michael said, I would give Big Ben another year. Who are they going to get that is better? They've done terrible at planning for life after Ben.
Well, yeah, they've done. That's the statement that is the truest of them all. They've done terrible preparing for life after Ben. I mean, if they would have had a capable, competent backup last year, or this year's team could have legitimately competed for Super Bowl.
Oh yeah.
Like they are the last 2 years. This is one of the most talented rosters I've ever seen in my life. And they're a trigger man away from being kind of unbeatable. I mean, even with Big Ben giving the ball away at an average of 2.5 times a game, they still went 11-0.
Yeah, to start the season. Well, then, of course, they had to deal with the injuries, right? Like, injuries on defense really ended up catching up to them.
But if they had a trigger man, they weren't getting beat so badly that they couldn't outscore folks.
No, that's true.
Those injuries weren't great, and they obviously hurt them, but they could have won all those games they lost. They were definitely in, and they could have won them all.
Yeah. No,
there wasn't a single game on that schedule where they got their ass whipped that they just couldn't win at all. They were a quarterback away from all of that.
Matt Miller said, would you guys rather have Watt or Von Miller? Hearing Von is probably getting cut. Now, we're going to talk about J.J. Watt here in just a minute. The Von Miller thing is interesting to me. That kind of just popped up today that they are talking about, like, they're not going to pick up his option. They're talking about cutting him, like all this.
Is this because of his – you think it's because of his I guess, wasn't he the one that recently had a DUI or?
No, it wasn't a DUI. There was something crazy like that the police were looking into.
Oh, yeah, he had some kind of criminal charge, but it didn't get released to what it was.
Yeah, it was well, it wasn't charged. It was like a criminal investigation.
Yeah.
And I mean, who knows? Like, I don't know.
The only thing I can think of on the Broncos is are they looking at the future and wanting to cut salary by not extending him and signing him because he is 31 years old. If that's, I'm going to tell you right now. So we're just talking about NFL, the way they can play on the field. I'll take Vaughn over JJ.
Yeah.
Which we're going to get to JJ. You want to get to JJ now?
Let's go ahead and get to JJ. Let's go ahead and talk about this. JJ Watt, the correction. You wanted to correct something from the other day.
Yeah.
Right?
So I said on Monday's show, or no, I said on Friday's show. Sorry.
Yep.
And I meant to do this Monday, and we just somehow both forgot about it. But I text Gary, say I need to correct this. So I talked about how I don't want JJ Watt because JJ Watt doesn't play enough snaps for me. So just because you sign him, you still haven't fixed your problem. I was wrong on that. This past year, first time, maybe in his career, but maybe not. J.J. Watt played all 16 games. I knew that, but I didn't think he played a lot of snaps. J.J. Watt played 1,013 snaps total. That is 90.7% of all of the defensive snaps. So I was wrong on that. I find it strange he played over 1,000 snaps, and he ended up with 5 sacks. But that's okay. That's all right. He's still a very valuable player. Here's the problem, though. So I went back and I said, well, how did I get this perception in my head that he didn't play a lot of snaps? Well, this is how. In 2017, he played 21% of his snaps. In 2018, he played 89%. So, okay, all right. 2019, 44% of the snaps. And then in 2020, he played 91% of the snaps. That's how I got it. Is every other year, he misses just disgusting amounts of the season. And then every other year, he plays a shitload of snaps, which tells me you don't want to be the team to sign him this year. You just don't. Because he's not going to. This is the odd year, and coming off of a season where he didn't miss a game, what do you think's going to happen?
I would imagine he is probably not going to play that many snaps. But if he doesn't, like if he ends up playing somewhere that already has a good defensive line, I think that he could play half the snaps and still be effective. Right? Like if you go,
I think it'd be more effective than 5 sacks over 1,000 snaps, though.
Oh, I agree with that. I just wonder about I think he's really good at stopping the run. But I mean, obviously the Texans were awful at stopping the run. Never mind.
Let's time out here.
I don't know. I'm trying to look for the positive.
So hang on. I like that. When you play the Ravens, you need to be able to stop the run. When you play the 49ers, you need to be able to stop the run. When you play the Browns, unless he's signed by the Browns, you need to be able to stop the run. These are teams that if you stop the run, you beat them. You don't that game is over. They cannot win. I don't know how many other teams that's true for. I mean, even the Steelers, who my entire life, Gary, your entire life, they were grounded back. There were games where they didn't rush the ball for 39 yards.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right.
And that was on that 11-0 run, by the way. That was not at the end of the year where they lost all those games. No, this is when they were beating everybody. Teams just don't run the ball the way they used to. So congratulations, you have a value, but you have to be able to stop the pass as well. You have to be able to do more than just stop the run because it's kind of getting coached out of the game.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right about that. So if that is the case, then where would he make sense this year? If he's only going to be able to play, a little bit this season.
And then I was wrong about the other thing too. So, he's owed $27 million, but since he's a free agent now, he's been cut. Anybody can sign him for anything. I think there are some player association rules. See, I don't know all the CBA rules, but they're not real keen on a guy. Your contract said you were supposed to make 27, but now you'll sign for 8. I think they're going to need the other team to sign him for pretty close to what he was owed. He can take a cut, but I don't think it can just cut it in half without some problems going to the PA. And I've heard some people talking about that. They know far more about the Players Association and the collective bargaining agreement that the two sides have. I don't understand some of that. There's a lot of legal jargon as to how some of the money works and how you can restructure and whatever. That's all well above my IQ points. But I just don't want to pay him a lot. I don't want to pay him a lot.
Joseph Gomez jumped in. He played a lot of snaps, but the D overall was barely above average. Amazing how Clowney leaves and the numbers drop off.
Yeah.
I mean, Clowney left, 3 years ago? Has it been 3?
No, he played 1 year in Seattle. 1 year.
It was
Last
1 year in
he
Seattle
left.
and then
So
Titans.
just 2 years.
But Clowney was not great with the Titans, and I mean,
Yeah, but an edge rusher can be shut down with one guy. They don't have anybody else, so it's easy to take Clowney out of the play.
Yeah, that's Matt Miller.
This is one of those things where you can't look at this and say it defines that. You know what I'm saying?
So can we do that with J.J. Watt? I mean, what do we like? There's a lot of suitors for J.J. Watt, but
yeah. Trying to pick where he's going to land is where does he want to go now? Because he gets to pick wherever the hell he wants to go. He has openly come out and said he wants to play with Cleveland, which I appreciate and I like, and I'm I just don't. If we got to pay him $27 million or close to that, I'm not happy with that signing at all.
Yeah, that's Matt Miller jumped in, by the way. He said, to understand the cap for every sport except baseball, you have to be a wizard, basically. It's because baseball doesn't have one.
Yeah, baseball doesn't have one, so it's pretty easy. Pay him whatever the hell you want. And you're going to pay a tax on it, but that's it. Yeah, I don't know where the best place for him to land is, I don't have an answer for that. I mean, anybody that's a competitor. So like if I was him, I wouldn't go to I wouldn't go to the Patriots. Like they're not one big player away from being good.
Agreed.
They're just not. I mean, they need several offensive weapons to be competent. And I think the defense will come back around.
Yeah, I think the defense is going to be fine. I mean, they're getting a lot of guys back that opted out last season. I think the defense is going to be great next year. It's do you have somebody that can run the offense? And do you have any weapons in New England?
That's right.
Casey said he's going to the Browns to play against his brothers. I mean, yeah, that would be an interesting matchup, but
it's an interesting choice. I don't think it's for any reason that his brothers are on the other side. I think that has zero effect to that because nobody would want to play against their brother. Hey, they don't play against each other anyway. They're not on the field at the same time.
Cleveland is like the hype team.
Isn't that weird though? Like we now live for the first time in my life. It's like a destination where free agents want to go. They
strange.
Look like a capable, competent organization, and that's all I've ever wanted. Really.
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
make the playoffs, be competitive.
I mean, they were the closest to the Chiefs in the AFC.
Yeah, they gave the Chiefs the best game of the year.
Yep, you got that right. Matt said, "I bet Vaughn ends up with the Raiders if he gets cut." Casey said, "If the Patriots get a decent quarterback, they're going to take back that division next year." Yeah, if Vaughn ends up getting cut, he will. Like I could see him staying in the division just to try and get revenge. The question is, can he stay healthy? Like, can he stay out of trouble? Like, he's an aging veteran, man. He's
31, so he's 2 years younger than JJ, and I think he's he's a more dynamic player than JJ. But maybe I'm wrong on that.
But he's also been banged up. Man.
No,
JJ has been too.
Hang on now, they've both missed like entire seasons with injuries.
I'm not saying that JJ is a good option. Yeah. I'm saying that Von Miller as well. Like it
just all depends on what they cost you. You want both of them to be cut because you don't want to pay on both ends. You don't want to give assets up. You don't want to have to trade for them and pay them an exorbitant salary.
I think both of them would be great if they only had to play like half the snaps.
Oh, me too. 100%.
Maybe less than that.
Yeah, so. You want them on the field, and you want them on the field definitely in meaningful snaps where they are well rested and can get off the ball and cause hell.
Yes. Casey jumped in. Hell yeah, please sign Von Miller, Brett Veach. Von needs to take a pay cut regardless where he goes. He's basically missed the last 2 seasons, said Michael Fritz. Yeah, I think so. Brad Nieti said, I think he likes the Browns because there's a bunch of young blood that really see a experienced leader. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, it's a lot of young guys, and I mean, he would kind of be, the face of the defense along with Myles Garrett. I could see that maybe. I mean, it's a team on the up and up. You got a new coach and an experienced locker room guy like that could fit in well there, maybe. But I mean, who knows? Who knows? Let's talk a little college football right quick.
Okay.
Tennessee hired Tim Banks, Penn State co-defensive coordinator. Tim Banks has been around, my friend. He was either defensive coordinator or co-defensive coordinator at Illinois, Cincinnati, Central Michigan. 25-year coaching career. He was at Maryland, Bowling Green. He was even at Memphis under Tommy West, way back like early 2000s.
That was a long time ago.
he's been there for 5 seasons. Brent Pry has served as Penn State's defensive coordinator since 2014. Even this season, when they were not great, they still finished in the top half of the Big Ten in all of the major defensive statistical categories. They were second in pass defense this year. He's gotten some pretty big names, and though a lot of guys kind of publicly turned down this job, he was like their 5th or 6th choice, if you believe reports. And if this hire ends up working, none of that's going to matter. It's like the LSU defensive coordinator thing, man. None of it'll matter, right?
That's right.
I mean,
100%. No, I like this hire. I think this guy's good. Listen,
Yeah.
Penn State's defense is the reason they have been on the map lately, and they've pulled some big time recruits. And I think Penn State is a better job than Tennessee, but I'm telling you, Knoxville is a much better, easier place to recruit to. If you're looking at location, where a kid has to come live for 3 years and play football, I'm telling you, man, if you want to be a star, I'd rather be a star in Knoxville than in a place called State College. And that's not a knock on State College. It's a beautiful area. It's just a small college town.
It's 2 hours away from maybe further than 2 hours from the closest big airport.
But I'm biased. I've been open about this. My favorite place in our country to just go relax and hang out at is the Smoky Mountains. I like mountains, but I don't want them rough and wreck it like rigid like the Rockies. That's all.
Yeah.
I want easy going, brewing some moonshine, and that's it.
Yeah, I do think, obviously the 3-hour radius, a 6-hour radius around Knoxville is just chock full of talent, man. There's a lot of talent around.
I think this
Knoxville.
guy's a good recruiter. They've landed some big time defensive guys, and those defenses have been pretty good at Penn State.
Hey, Ryan McCracken said Chris needs to come to South Dakota. Apparently, with the moonshine and all that kind of stuff, right? Damian said any school is better than Tennessee. I don't know about that. I don't know about the school part of it. The football program has been in the dumps, but I mean, if they can wake this thing up, if Heupel is okay. Oh, never mind. He said San Diego. Chris needs to come to San Diego. Chris has been to San Diego.
No, I've been very open about that. Now, I just can't afford. Okay, do I like San Diego better than I like the Smokies? Yes, that is paradise. It's also 3 times more expensive to go hang out in San Diego.
Yes, very much so. McKinnon jumps in. Hell, Chris, I can get you some good old Ozark Mountain moonshine. Down with that. McKinnon jumped in, by the way. He said Kansas City would be phenomenal for Miller. He also brought that up for White. He's the vet they need in the linebacking core, and being around Andy in that atmosphere to get him away from all the tomfoolery. I mean, we'll see.
Well, I mean, those guys, any star, I think Kansas City is a good landing spot for him, but that's also guys. I mean, it's just ring chasing. I mean, I want to play with Patrick Mahomes too, because that guy is a cheat code, and he's going to give you the best opportunity to go get you a ring.
Yep. So if you're more worried about that than you are dollars, for sure, knock that out. Casey asked if Tennessee's O-line is staying intact. He said if they recruit a nice running back, they could be interesting. I don't think it's just that. I mean, they got to figure out the quarterback position. They got to. I mean, Tennessee's got a lot of issues that they got to figure out.
They got a lot of issues. They got to work. It's going to take a minute.
Yep.
College football is not a place where you can just usually go. Big time college football. It's smaller levels. You go in one good recruiting class, and in a year you can kind of flip a script. But it's rare that that happens when you're going up against Georgia, Florida, Alabama every year.
Brown Yeti said, "Who wants to go get killed by Ohio State when you can go get killed by Alabama instead?" I guess. I mean, I don't know
if Penn State got killed by Ohio State much.
No,
while
they
he
didn't.
was there.
They didn't. They.
That's a gross exaggeration.
Firm.
And there were a couple of those years where Tennessee didn't get killed by Alabama either.
Oh yeah.
Last year, 2 years ago in particular, Gary watching the game while we were in Chicago, and I'm checking scores, and I'm thinking, whoa.
That was a close ball game. Look, had Jarrett Garantano not decided to
run the ball, not fumble the football in the end zone that they take back 90-something yards.
That would have cut it to a 7-point lead.
Yeah. So being killed is just that's something. It's easy to shit on Tennessee. Okay.
Yes.
It's low hanging fruit, guys. You're better than that. They're not a good program. That's okay. It's okay to say that, but To think
you're
they're the
100%
worst
right.
program ever, that's crazy.
Let's talk about the transfer portal right quick. So this whole thing, we're not going to spend long on it because I don't have the full numbers. So the title on this article is "Overwhelming Majority of Players in Transfer Portal Have Not Landed Offers." We knew this was going to be a strange year anyway because seniors are given an extra year of eligibility. Everybody is given an extra year of eligibility, and you still have a recruiting class coming in. Right now, Keith Grabowski, host of the Coach and Coordinator podcast, said an astounding 72% of the players in the 2021 transfer portal do not have a home yet. It's 1,074 players that are currently in the FBS transfer portal. Only 299, that's 28%, have a school to attend on scholarship in 2021. Since the NCAA doesn't actually let us use the actual portal, 247 has their unofficial transfer portal. So it's the kids that have announced it, and you see the reports coming out, coaches have told them, all that kind of stuff. There's 126 quarterbacks in the portal right now. You add in a 25-man signing limit for NCAA member schools, and you've got a limited spot for transfer players. Now, some schools have taken advantage of this. Oklahoma only signed like 17 high school kids this year, and they brought in a bunch of transfers, a bunch of transfers, because they would rather go with guys that they know can compete in college as opposed to having to build up somebody from the ground up. And that way, if you miss on them, they're only going to stay on with you for a year or two, right? Something like that. Sports Illustrated talked about it. As of late January, only 964 of 1,500 FBS players in the portal actually garnered a recruiting ranking. So this is something that Chris and I talked about because we don't actually have the full the numbers here. A vast majority of that 1,500 are walk-ons, right? So it's kind of the numbers might be a little skewed. They might be a little weird. But as of right now, just bare numbers, just looking at it, 72% of the kids that are trying to transfer don't have a place to play football right now. And that is insane. And Damian said, what the hell y'all got against Chicago? We got nothing against Chicago. I love Chicago.
I don't know what he's talking about. Is he referring to I said I like the Smokies and I like San Diego? Because we've talked enough about how Chicago's gotten more of my dollars than any place in the world.
You brought up us being in Chicago last year and watching the Alabama-Tennessee game or whatever. But
oh, yeah. I don't know if I was talking trash about it. I was enjoying the city of Chicago while Gary was watching the Alabama-Tennessee game.
I enjoyed Chicago up until game time, and then I was in the hotel watching. I tried to go watch it elsewhere, but everywhere was packed that night. It was crazy. So as far as the transfer stuff goes, teams are going to be limited to the 85 scholarship and the 25-man incoming freshman limit this year. Like the NCAA said, yeah, you can keep seniors on if you want to keep them, but you still are only allowed 85 scholarships.
That's right. You don't get more scholarships.
This doesn't include walk-ons. If you've got players that just want to play and pay their own way, then that is what it is. Damian said, I'm just playing. That's okay. we ain't got nothing against Chicago.
We love Chicago.
So basically, there's an NCAA Division I football assistant that told Football Scoop he feels bad for the 2021-2022 high school kids because that extra year of eligibility, you go with the devil you know instead of the one that you don't, typically. So there's a lot of schools that, one, financially can't take on more, and two, you don't want to bring in the high school kids to try and develop if you already have something that you know. It's a tough way to go about it, man. Things have been done a certain way for a long time. This year threw a wrench into everything. So you feel bad for the transfers that don't have a home yet. You feel bad for the high schoolers that aren't getting those scholarship offers because there are kids in the transfer portal that you already know what they are. It's tough, man. This is a very interesting thing. And I brought it up to Chris to begin with thinking, man, maybe this transfer portal, having it the Wild Wild West, isn't going to be the best thing. But this is just an odd circumstance, I think. I still think it's going to be good. For players.
I think it's strange. And just because it's becoming a problem doesn't mean you stop doing it, because by stopping it, you're restricting kids to go where they want to go and do what they want to do.
Yeah, we talked about this before about how scholarships.
So even if it's hard and even if it's a problem, and if they take the chance, listen, if they walk away from a scholarship and nobody else offers them a scholarship and they don't have a home, that was a calculated risk that they made. That's a gamble. Man, life is all that.
Yeah.
That's what life is. And they'll learn from that.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. They will learn from it.
It won't ruin their life. It won't end their life. Everything we do is either a victory or a learning experience. That's it. They'll figure it out.
Oh, yes. Yes, agreed. The way the scholarships were set up initially, they were a year-to-year thing.
And that was a problem.
And that was a little bit of a problem because if you weren't good enough, well, then you could just basically be cut. It was kind of like NFL free agency or whatever. You could just cut them and drop the contract. Well,
now when you commit, you got 4 years.
Yeah, now it's a little different. Brown Yeti said, yeah, we can't expand scholarship because COVID. Someone was going to get screwed, but somebody had to take the bullet. Yeah. I mean, it's going to suck. Like, you want to be able to give these kids the option to play in a non-pandemic year. Of course, we don't know that that's what it's going to be next year. We would hope, but who knows, right? So it was initially a year-to-year scholarship. Now it is a 4-year scholarship, and if you walk away from it and you transfer elsewhere, it's what you said. It's a risk. It's an absolute calculated risk.
It's a calculated risk, so that's it. You made a choice. You don't want to be where you're at. That's fine. You walk away. That's fine.
Yeah, you walk away.
You don't have another home.
Yep,
that's part of it, man.
You got it, and it's tough. That is, a lot of these kids think that they're better than they actually are, and maybe, I mean, some of them probably are really good, and they just haven't had the option to show it. But if you don't have other people that are believing in you and buying what you're selling,
and we talked about so many of these kids went down a level, to from G5 to from P5 to G5 or whatever, and from P5 to FCS, and the thing that I bring up is up and down a level is all relative to where you left.
Yeah,
if a kid leaves Cincinnati for Houston, or not Cincinnati, if a kid leaves Kansas for Houston, that ain't going down.
Yeah,
right?
of the 299,
that's not going down at all.
Let me give the numbers. The Power 5 players, 299 Power 5 players have committed to a new school. 60% of them took a quote-unquote step down in level, with their next destination being a Group of 5 or an FCS school. So if you got a guy that went from Nebraska to Cincinnati, is what you talking about.
So the scenario I brought up was if you left Nebraska for Cincinnati, is that a step down? I don't see that as a step down. I don't see it as a step backwards.
It would be a step down in competition because you're not playing Ohio State, Michigan, whatever.
Man, and you go look at that damn schedule, and I guarantee you Cincinnati will finish next year with a tougher strength of schedule than Nebraska. I'd put money on that. I'd make a wager, a blind wager, without even look. You've looked at the schedules. I haven't. And I would blindly say Cincinnati's strength of schedule, when it's all said and done, will be stronger than Nebraska's.
Man, see, I don't know.
That's knowing they got to play Iowa. That's knowing they got to play Northwestern. It's knowing they got to play Wisconsin. Those are 3 tough divisional games that I think all 3 of those teams are going to be ranked.
And you still think that it would be –
I'm just blindly thinking it. I think UCF's going to be good. I think Memphis is going to be good. I think Houston's going to be a lot better. So those are 3 teams that I think in that conference. In non-con, I know Cincinnati's schedule. They're playing Indiana. That's a ranked Big Ten opponent.
Yeah, they're playing
Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So
okay, maybe. So I'm with you.
I don't know Nebraska's schedule. I know Cincinnati got 5 games against teams that I think are all going to be ranked.
I know that Nebraska has recruited better than Cincinnati. So in practice, it'll be a step down in competition. But overall, I mean, no, you're going to be on a winning team. You might be better coached.
So at neutral, it could be a lateral move, right?
Casey jumped in, by the way. He said since he's going to the playoffs.
I know. I'd love to see it, Casey. No one wants it more than me, but I ain't beating that drum today. Yeah, let's let some football actually play out before we just start making.
So generically, just looking generically, it's a step down in level from P5 to either G5 or FCS. 60%.
But this is why I don't like the P5 G5 stuff.
Agreed.
I get mad at it because where do you put BYU in that?
I think BYU is considered P5. They're considered that. They don't have the same pull with the playoff.
Okay.
But the other Power 5 conferences have considered them a Power 5 team.
All right. I did not know that.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Like the SEC and the Big 12 for sure. Maybe not the Big 12. Maybe it's another conference. Either way, I know the SEC for sure, and there's one other conference that they require their member institutions to play a P5 non-conference game, and BYU and Notre Dame are considered P5.
Well, I know several. I mean, LSU's played them several times. They've drank Provo dry many times, entire city out of booze. It's made the news. It's one of the proudest things I am about an LSU fan. So,
Brown Yeti said, forget strength of schedule. Cincinnati has been better than Nebraska for 5 years. Now, yeah, they absolutely have. But
it's just this is a conversation that I'm having with these things where you make a broad proclamation and you're trying to write an article and you're trying to explain, all these transfers are going from here to there. I'm going to bet if we look at all of those 200 and whatever, all 60 of them or whatever the number was, I'm going to bet they're all not from here to there. I'm going to bet there's a lot of here to here, and I'm going to bet there's some here to here. A lot. Entirely
possible. But it's a very flat, 60% went from P5 to either G5 or FCS.
Yep.
So, and they didn't have to put step down, but that's what they put on the article. So it is what it is. Moving on, let's move into NCAA Rules Committee. Now, this one is interesting. You and I have seen this numerous times with teams that like to go a little up-tempo. Once you got the offense rolling, you've got the defense set up in something that you can take advantage of. You try and snap the ball as quickly as possible. It was a fluky thing. It was a gimmick thing for a long time, and now the bigger teams are doing it as well. It's happening across the sport. The majority of teams can go up-tempo when they need to, when they have found a defense that they can take advantage of. And then you see a guy on the defense that is waving to the sideline, and then he just flops over, right? Oh, I got an injury. I got to come out. So it slows down the offense. You have time to substitute. You get somebody in there. Now, they did set up where you have to give the defense, if you substitute, you got to give the defense 10 seconds to be able to substitute, et cetera, right? Now, the AFCA, the American Federation of College Football Coaches, or the American Football Coaches Association, they want the NCAA to switch up the rules to look at the players that are faking an injury. If you are found to have faked an injury, because you see a lot of these kids go out for a play and then they come right back in, right? That's right. If that happens,
and I mean, many of them hop up and run off the field as soon as the play clock is stopped.
Yep. That's it. It's a problem.
And they don't even hide it, because why hide it? There's been no penalty, so why stop?
Right. There's no reason to even worry with it. But now, if they end up doing something about it, that is going to be kind of interesting. I don't know what they're going to end up doing. It said our ethics committee would suggest rule changes to the NCAA. Said by unanimous consent, this has got to stop. AFCA Executive Director Todd Berry said. So they asked the Rules Committee to do something about it. It's bad for football. He said rules need to have teeth, and if there's no teeth, there's no impact. So Alex Scarborough from ESPN said the AFCA Ethics Committee voted in January to request that the NCAA address players faking injuries. One big issue with changing any injury rule is that referees often can't say with any certainty if a player is feigning a problem on the spot during a game. The NCAA could, however, require a player who exits the field following an injury timeout to miss at least the remainder of a series unless a coach burns a timeout to keep the player in the game. The NCAA Rules Committee is expected to discuss the subject during a virtual meeting next month. I'm very curious. Steve Shaw, who is the NCAA Football Rules Committee chairman, he said the committee is going to have heavy debate on the topic and see where that goes. What would you recommend?
So I want to be clear. I don't like the guys just falling down to try to stop the other team. Okay. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. I equate it to flopping in the NBA and flopping in soccer, which I think is gross and just, I think it's very unsportsmanlike. I almost am. This is going to sound stupid and I'm going to look like a Neanderthal. I'm more okay with cheap shots than this. And the reason I am is because cheap shots are at least two people competing as hard as they can. And one of them, usually getting his butt whipped, is so mad about getting his butt whipped that he hauls off and he hits somebody. Okay. Yeah. Like you're at least showing competitive fire and vigor and wanting to win. Okay. I'm okay with that. I don't like it and I think it's to be penalized, but I'm okay with it. All right. This I don't like, but here's my problem is I don't know how you legislate this. Because if a guy legitimately tweaks something, like I'm a 38-year-old man who's in probably the worst shape of anybody I know. Okay. But when I stand up, I have one knee, my right knee, it's tore every ligament in my leg out when I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
And so now when I stand up out of the chair, it pops. Okay. Every time, 100% of the time for the rest of my life. And it's done this for 20 something years. All right. So here's the problem. Sometimes it pops and it nearly puts me to the floor. It hurts so bad. And in seconds, it's better.
Yeah.
Okay. I know. And you all have had some type of injury to where you did something, you popped something, you hurt something, and it hurt to a point where you were in real legitimate pain. And then a few minutes go by and you just kind of work it out. And then you're fine. And you go back to doing whatever you wanted to do. If you do this, you're now penalizing guys who legitimately do get hurt and need to come off and just kind of work something out. And okay, did I just tear this ACL or did I just pop my knee? And you know, there you go.
Well, Brown Yeti jumps in, by the way. He said, how can you prove that someone isn't hurt or cramping? He said, because I've cramped and it's here and then gone in seconds.
Gone in seconds, man. So while I hate it, I really do hate it, I don't know how you legislate it. And if you say, well, you have to miss the rest of the series, listen, you're talking about college football, okay? Outside of Alabama, and even Alabama, no team has nothing but just 5 stars out there running around. They all, on defense especially, rotate multiple players, far more players you rotated in on defense than offense could ever imagine. So at any point in time, you've got a guy on the field that if he had to sit out for 8 plays or the rest of a series, it really wouldn't hurt you. And it's just that guy's job to go down whenever you give the signal. So now you've created this rule that's pretty easy to loophole.
Yeah. Yeah. Casey
and you're
jumps
asking
in, by
the
the way.
referees who are already bad at the jobs they do.
Yeah,
they're
because
really hard jobs, and they're already bad at those jobs. You're asking them to try to do something else that's also really hard.
Well, you're asking for a judgment call on injuries. You're also asking for judgment calls on targeting. You're asking for – and so the targeting stuff, like we all hate the fact that kids are having to sit out or being disqualified if they get caught doing helmet-to-helmet, even if it's the offensive player's fault, right? That's a bit of an issue, and they've tried to make it where, well, it's no longer a judgment call. It's just if it's helmet to helmet, then he's out.
That's right.
But we hate that. So we want them to make judgment calls on the field. Is there intent? Is there not? And
that's right.
Now you're also wanting them to figure out, like, hey, are they actually hurt or are they not? And then it becomes an even bigger thing. It's like, okay, why? If we're going to do this, why do we not do it where they don't have to fake an injury? Why not just set it up where you can't go that fast in the sport? Like Nick Saban talked about this forever ago, and
no, because it's not a safety issue as to why you can't go out. The reason the guy falls down is because the defense is getting their ass kicked.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is
but
why...
like, just because you're getting your ass kicked, don't say, well, the offenses are too good and the defenses suck, and so we gotta change the rules to slow it down. I don't know that I like that. I don't know that I'm a fan of that.
So Yeti said maybe it's more a defensive issue. Maybe they can't come back until the timeout is called or until the chains are moved, and maybe make that for all injuries. I mean, maybe, like Casey said, if they can't walk off the field, they should be out for at least a quarter. And then he said it's true, it would be an advantage to teams like Alabama. That's not always the case either, because Alabama's defense has not been great the last couple of seasons. And there are certain players that if they miss time for whatever reason, then that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, it would hurt him.
Casey said any injury, you're out for a quarter makes sense. If you can't walk off the field, and he said earlier, any injury, they should be out for a quarter.
But what if it's injured to the shoulder? What if it's injured to the arm? So you can run off. You got no problems, but your elbow hurts.
He said most of these come at the end of the second and fourth quarter. If they fake an injury, they got to be out for the entire quarter. And I don't buy that. Maybe the series.
We don't like. We know now. We know now because the way they do it when they fake it when they don't.
Yeah.
But in this situation, if you make a rule, they're just going to get better at acting. And now you're going to have half the people who are going to say, oh, man, that guy's really hurt when he's really not hurt at all. And the other half are going to say, half the time you're going to say, oh, he's just faking it. That's bullshit. And something really legitimately could be wrong. So this is the issue, and this is the problem. This is a really hard thing. The only thing I can think of is if you see a guy go down Okay. The team doctors have to have some type of documentation. All right. When they take you in the little bubble, okay, they raise the bubble over you and they inspect you and they examine you. They have to document what they examined, how they examined you, what injury you complained about, all this stuff. This needs to go to an official that is a doctor that the NCAA just hires as an official. Okay. And after the fact, the only way, if you want to legislate this out, if you find a team doing it, you begin to fine the head coach. That's it. You can't stop it on the game. You just find the head coach.
Yeah, I guess
he's the guy that makes the most amount of money, but it doesn't matter if he makes $10 million or if he makes $400,000. You find the head coach.
Well, so here's the issue, though. It's like you said, if they're faking an injury, they're not going into the bubble. They're not going into that injury tent. They're just going to the sideline for a play, and then they.
I don't think they can. I don't think they're going to be able to do that. So if somebody's going to make a judgment call, it needs to be another doctor that either watches it, sees it. They can see it after the game. They can watch what happens. They can interview the training staff about it. But that training staff's going to have to be able to answer questions 2 hours later when the game is over with about what happened in the third quarter or what happened in the first quarter where you pulled that guy out. And so that's on the team to make notes and all this stuff. And it's fine. It's okay. But you can't punish them in the game. There's just no way to do it and do it well. If you want to punish teams, you hit these head coaches in the pockets. You just do. And here's the thing. That's a drop in the bucket. All these coaches, it won't stop them. Nick Saban will never pay one of those fines. Ed Orgeron will never pay one of those fines because the boosters will step up and pay it. They're already getting paid just disgusting amounts of money. But that's the only way that I would even be reasonable. To assess a penalty in the middle of a game, I'm not okay with. As much as I hate this happening, I don't trust that an official's not going to do it and screw up a game.
Damian jumped in. Does anybody watch wrestling? It's all entertainment. I don't see what everybody's really pissed off about. We all know it's all rigged. I mean, they don't call it entertainment for nothing. I don't think this part's rigged, but either way. Michael Curtis said, "What's up, guys? Finally get to watch a live show. Glad that you made it in."
Glad you're here.
Casey said, "True, Damian. It really doesn't matter." That's the thing. I don't know how you stop this because there are some legitimate injuries that happen.
I can totally relate to people hating it and wanting it out of the sport. You got to come up with a better way than saying a guy's got to sit out for 2 plays or 3 plays or a series or a quarter. Because you can't make punishments that punitive either because you're still making a judgment call. What if it was, I popped my elbow. All right, it popped back. Holy shit. Oh, it's fine. I've literally thrown my shoulder out of socket when I played football, and I had somebody just jerk on it, and it jerked it right back in, a trainer. It wasn't like another offensive lineman. Okay. Yeah. Somebody knew what he was doing. And I was able to play without any pain or problems at all the rest of the game and had no long-term issues whatsoever that I've known about. So that happens. How do you say he was faking?
Like you can't. Brown Yeti said it's Pandora's box. It's open. There's no putting it back in. Casey said if a guy's really hurt enough to not get off the field, they should be out of quarter. Well,
I just gave you a scenario where that's not true.
Yeah, that's a different ordeal that he's talking about. Like if a guy is actually hurt and it's like a severe thing, then he's going to be out. Yeah,
he's going to miss the game or the quarter anyway.
So it's trying to figure out.
How many times have guys like broken fingers and okay, you broke my finger. I'm just going to go tape my hand up and then I'll be back out there in 60 seconds.
Yeah. I mean that happens all the time. That
happens but I can't stay on the field while that happens. I have to come off the field.
Yes. You're right. Let's move into the NFL right quick. We'll close out with 3 NFL topics. Titans, the Tennessee Titans, and Isaiah Wilson, their first-round draft pick from last year. He was drafted number 29 overall. He was an offensive lineman from Georgia. They have not spoken. He played 4 snaps for them last year. He was injured. They have not spoken. The GM, John Robinson, came out today and said he's got to figure out if he wants to do the things that it takes to be a professional football player. I don't know that I have heard this about a first-round offensive lineman right after his rookie season ever. This is a strange situation, isn't it? Why would he not be with the team rehabbing and whatnot? Obviously, there's COVID concerns, all that kind of mess. I get it. But, man, this is could you imagine just wasting a first-round pick on an offensive lineman that just doesn't even talk to the
teams
team.
draft bust all the time.
Agreed.
This just looks like it's a team that drafted a guy that didn't want to play.
That's weird. That's so strange. I don't even know what to make of it. I don't know what to make. It was very interesting to me. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
Kirby Smart hired his pharmaceutical buddy to come down to Georgia, and all of a sudden now these guys aren't good NFL players and can't stay healthy.
You're so ridiculous. So ridiculous. But yeah, I don't know what to do about the Isaiah Wilson thing. This is a strange situation.
It is a strange situation, but at the end of the day, it's going to be we drafted a guy that doesn't take this serious.
And that's pretty much what it is.
And so he's going to be out of the NFL, and that's nothing new. That's nothing. I mean, I guess it's news because it's right now, but and he's just a guy that didn't work out. A lot of guys get taken in the first round that are bust. That happens all the time.
You are right about that. All right, moving on. CBS put out a list of the top 10 free agent NFL wide receivers for this season, and some of these I did not even realize were free agents. Now, Allen Robinson, we knew that he was. They are estimating his market value. He is the number one free agent wide receiver. They are estimating his market value at $20 million.
So the Bears are considering tagging him, which would infuriate him badly.
I think so as well.
That would destroy that relationship, which is already destroyed anyway. I want to see Allen Robinson play with a legit quarterback. I almost don't care where he goes. I really don't. Yeah. I just want to see him play with one guy that's better than Mitchell Trubisky, Nick Foles, and Blake Bortles. That's it. Like an above average 15th or better quarterback in the league. That's all I want.
Yeah. Chris Godwin is number 2 on this list. His market value, $17.1 million.
I love Godwin. I love Godwin. That dude's got to get healthy, but man, when he's healthy, he is real good.
Oh yeah, he was making $2.23 million a year. He's only 24 years old. I think he's absolutely the second one on here. Kenny Golladay for the Lions is number 3 here. They're estimating his market value at $17 million. He's another big one.
Another big one.
Will Fuller at number 4 for the Texans. They're saying that he's at $16.9 million. If he can stay on the field, he's absolutely a legit option. But, man, I don't know. He was officially suspended for 6 games. He'll need to miss the first game of the 2021 season. I doubt that's going to hurt his value much.
Nope.
What could end up hurting his value is the fact that he has not been able to stay healthy.
Yeah.
That's kind of an issue. Juju Smith-Schuster, they listed at number 5. They're saying he's worth $16.1 million a year. Okay. I mean, you saw, if you don't have a good quarterback for him, he's got.
I listen. It's easy to make fun of Juju because of how he played down the stretch, and all. I'm not the biggest Juju fan in the world, but I'm also not a hater. I would take every guy on this list other than Fuller over Juju. Yeah. I love Golladay, I love Godwin, and I love Robinson a lot more than Juju. And all those guys, I think, are a lot slower than Juju.
Oh yes. The issue,
and in Robinson's space, I think a lot older than Juju, but that's fine.
With Juju, if you don't have a good quarterback, he is in major trouble.
He can't make a quarterback. Robinson and I think Golladay is a lot of this too. Yeah. They'll make any quarterback they have a lot better. Yes. I don't think Juju does that.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think so at all. Number 6, now this is where the drop-off is. Curtis Samuel, $12.4 million market value for the Panthers. He didn't do a lot last season. I say that. He had 97 targets, 77 receptions, had 3 touchdowns, 851 receiving yards. He was just overshadowed by those other guys. Yep. Is what it is. Marvin Jones from the Lions, they're saying he's worth $10.5 million. He's 30 years old. Can you believe Marvin Jones is 30?
Well, yeah.
That amazed me. I didn't feel like he'd been in the league that long, but
I feel like I thought he might be older than that. So that's where we're different. Is I think he's been in the league forever.
T.Y. Hilton, number 8. I feel like he's been here forever, but
T.Y. I do think has been forever.
Yeah, he's only 1 year older.
Yep.
So that's what it is. They're saying he's $10 million, but this guy can't stay healthy. Man, he had 93 targets, only 56 receptions, 762 yards, and 5 touchdowns.
Hang on. I would like to address something.
Okay.
So we're going to maybe get into the Wentz stuff or not. If you're the Colts and you got $90 million of cap space to spend, because this is what everybody keeps telling me. Why not go after Wentz? Because you got $90 million to play with. And you go get 3 of these guys that all cost $20 million a piece. You go get the top 3 guys. All right. You let T.Y. go, and you get the top 3 guys, and you go sign Ryan Fitzpatrick, and you spend your first-round draft pick or second-round draft pick, because I don't know if they have a first. That's fine. Your second-round draft pick on the best quarterback available to try to bring in and groom. You don't think that's a Super Bowl team?
I think it could be.
Like, I don't know. What the hell are we talking about? But bring in Wentz? Let's waste 24 of that $90 million on a guy that might be good, might not, when you could get Fitz for probably 5, 10. Come on, man. What are we talking about?
I agree. We got 2
Load
more.
Up on these guys. If you got $90 million, that don't mean you just piss it away on a guy.
Agreed. Corey Davis is number 9. They're saying he's worth $9.8 million. Corey Davis was okay, for Tennessee this year. Like, at whatever. He never shined. No. And then number 10 is AJ Green. They're saying he's worth about $6 million. That's another guy that has not been able to stay healthy. And then they got a best of the rest here, like Alan Lazard from the Packers, Kendrick Bourne from the 49ers, Antonio Brown, Will Snead, Demarcus Robinson, et cetera, et cetera. Danny Amendola, he's a guy that's past his prime. Sammy Watkins is on this list as well.
These guys are all done.
Yeah, these guys are all like you can get them for, a couple bags of chips and, a handshake or whatever. But yeah, I'm very curious to see how this free agent market ends up going. But if you are the Colts, yeah, that's certainly. Let's close off with this.
That are bad, like the Patriots, have a shitload of cap room. I mean, they got a shit ton of cap space. That's fine. Let's draft a guy. Let's not screw this draft up, and let's pick a quarterback that's good, that's capable, and let's sign 3 of these guys, and let's boom. Fixed. Problem solved.
Yeah, it's very easy to do if you're willing to spend the money. That's very, very easy to do. Very easy to do. Close out with this. The Carson Wentz stuff. So today it was we've talked about this a lot, I know, but if the Colts are where Wentz wants to go, the Bears appear to be the front runners because they're willing to offer more. I don't believe that Carson Wentz has any leverage whatsoever to be able to force a trade whichever direction. And now we know that the Colts do have leverage to not offer as much as was even reported to begin with, which was 2 first-round picks. Now, or not, 2 second-round picks. But now the reports as of today are 2 second-round picks, or no, a second-round pick and a third-round pick. And that's it. That's all they would offer.
That's too much.
I still think that's too much. I think that's crazy.
That's a second-round pick and a third-round pick too much.
But if you're the Bears and you already know that Wentz doesn't want to go to the Bears, he wants to go to the Colts, why even put yourself in there? Because if Wentz shows up,
because Wentz is going to show up and Wentz is going to play wherever he's at because he's got no choice. He's under contract for the next 3 years.
Yeah, but if he obviously we saw what he did at the end of this season when he got benched.
Yeah, it's because he got benched. It's not because he's playing in a place where he doesn't like. It's because he got benched. He didn't like being benched. He didn't like competition. He doesn't want to compete for a job. These are all reasons why I wouldn't pay a nickel for him, by the way.
Yeah, no,
I wouldn't give the first
all
of
this
third,
is dumb.
Or pay his salary, by the way.
This whole thing is dumb. I don't know why any team
Somebody's going to, apparently. Apparently, there's a fool out there for everybody. So somebody's going to do it. I can't understand why. I think that GM needs to be fired immediately. I really do think this would be a fireable offense.
Yeah. I mean, Carson Wentz and Jared Goff remind me very much of each other.
He is a project. He is a crapshoot. He is a roll of the dice. Why would you spend $24 million for the next 2 years of what he's going to cost you and assets for a roll of the dice and so somebody in here, Andrew asked, do I think Fitz could take a team to a Super Bowl? Yes, I do. I watched Brad Johnson take a team to a Super Bowl, and Fitzpatrick is 100 times better the quarterback of Brad Johnson. I saw Trent Dilfer take a quarterback to a team to the Super Bowl. I think he's 100 times better than Trent Dilfer. Okay. I've seen teams. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is better than Joe Flacco. Yes. I think he is in Joe's prime. Okay.
Yeah.
All these guys took teams to Super Bowl. Right? Lots of people have gone to the Super Bowl and made it. when if you get there, you got a shot to win. Okay. So yes, I would take Fitzpatrick, who's available right now, over Wentz all day long if I'm any of these teams. And he's going to come lot cheaper and with no assets given up for him. You just got to pay him.
Yep, you just got to pay, and it doesn't have to. You're not going to pay him as much.
No, you're not going to pay him close to as much. Not close. I don't understand this like this idea that Wentz was good one season. One season he was great.
And then he got hurt.
Numbers that we've never seen before ever from a guy like him.
And then he got hurt, and he hasn't been the same since.
He wasn't that before he got hurt.
Yeah, I mean,
like that one season, like the season before that, he was good, but he wasn't great.
No, I mean, that Super Bowl year, he had fantastic numbers, and then you saw his backup come in and do the exact same thing.
Exact same thing.
And win the
his
Super Bowl.
backup did the exact same thing that he did.
Yeah.
This is my problem. And then say, oh, but he's going to the same coach that was just with him. So why can't he do that again? That coach can't get the same out of him. You don't think that coach couldn't get the same out of Phillip Rivers or out of Jacoby Brissett? Like, you know, I don't see if Frank Wright is magic, then you don't need to pay $24 million over 2 years, you know, $48 million for a guy over 2 years and give up assets for him if your coach is magic. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Take that $90 million and go get some of these receivers, because that offensive line is unbelievable. That defense is really, really good. The offensive line is the best in the league, if not the best, the second best in the league. Yeah. That running game is going to be really good behind that line if you need a trigger man. Sign 2 or 3 of these receivers, go get you a draft a quarterback, or sign Fitzpatrick, and all of that is far better than giving up assets to sign Wentz.
Yeah. Thank Me For My Service said the asking price is crazy for Wentz. Team should hold strong. Damian said, my question is, why isn't Denver going after Wentz? They need a quarterback bad. It's because they know that Wentz is not good. Like, Denver, it was reported today, is now in on the Deshaun Watson stuff. So, you know, is what it is. We've been going for over an hour. Let's go ahead and dive out of here. But the Wentz stuff, we can continue to go on with this on Friday, because I don't think anything's going to get done by Friday. I don't know that it ever gets done. Like, there's no reason, because the Eagles are still going to take a cap hit. Like, any team that signs him is going to be regarded as an idiot. So, I don't know. It is what it is. We'll move off of it, and we'll close out for today. We appreciate everybody that jumped in, Casey and Damian, and Thank Me For My Service, and McKinnon, and all you guys, Matt Miller, the whole bunch, Michael Fritch. We appreciate you guys for jumping in and being a part of the show. You always help drive the conversation, and we could not thank you more. Do us a favor, go ahead and hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube, etc. Make sure you are subscribed everywhere you need to subscribe. The podcast, of course, if you missed some of the live show, you can always go back and watch it, or you can just download it on the podcast. Leave a nice 5-star review over on Apple Podcast, and we would appreciate that as well. You guys are great, and we'll just go ahead and close out with this. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. And hopefully you're not all freezing to death, and you can cash some tickets this weekend. Thanks for checking out Winning Cures Everything. If you want to keep up with us, hit subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Visit the website at winningcureseverything.com, or you can like us on Facebook or follow us at Winning Cures, at Gary WCE, or at Chris B. Giannini on Twitter. Share out the show, leave a nice review, and make sure to comment and tweet.